Hi there, I'm Rob Hoyton. Thanks for joining me on the Dragon's Teeth Gaming channel. What I'm looking at today is the samurai setting. So, as I said, when I was involved in tabletop wargaming, we tended to fight quite big battles. We had the luxury of permanent tables set up at one point, so it was easy to put on these big displays and you could run battles over a series of 2 or 3 sessions. But of course you don't always have the time or the space or the luxury of being able to set a big battle up, so it's very good in that case to take a look at skirmish games. Now, there were large-scale samurai battles, of course, throughout Japan's history, but this period also lends itself very well to skirmish games, where you have maybe 20 figures aside and you can get a game set up and finished in a few hours. So this is a set of rules we used to use, Samurai Wargaming Rules by Sid and Ken Smith, and these were published by the London Wargame section in 1974, so a really old set of rules, and in fact I've had these since back in the day. There we go, Robert Hoyton, Ilford Sword and Board Wargame Society, so that is going way back. So these basically give you a set of rules for doing skirmishes or small unit actions during the period 1100 to 1500 AD in Japan. So really the height of feudal Japan and the samurai. Now, as it is a set of skirmish rules, you pretty much have to keep track of each individual figure. So there's a little bit of bookkeeping and not too much. And of course, within that, we have our different warrior types, from mounted samurai through to dismounted samurai, Chugan through to Ashigaru, through to your unarmed peasants, the cannon fodder, one suspects, or the katana fodder, perhaps. And from what I remember, I've not played these for a long time, but from what I remember, they gave a good, fast-moving game. And of course, you can set up different scenarios. There's rules on hidden movement, so you don't always know where your opponent is or perhaps what their objective is. And it covers all the different things you'd expect: movement, missile fire, morale, hand-to-hand combat, and there's a nice sort of play sheet in there that pretty much breaks down the rules. That, in a sense, is all you need for the rules. They're not that complex. One thing I did notice looking through these again is they use average dice at one point. I don't know if any of you remember average dice. I've not seen those for years. I think they were 6-sided dice, and they had something like a 1, a 3, a 3, a 4, and a 4, and maybe a 6 on it, something like that. So I'm not quite sure if you can still get them, but I'm sure we can adapt. And then it gives you some ideas for competitions, how to set up a game, and a little bit of background about the samurai themselves. So it seems that the London Wargame section were quite active. It actually says in here they were based in Barnet in Hertfordshire, not far from here. I wonder if they're still around. They've got a list of different rules here: Napoleonic, American Civil War, modern, Greek naval. Oh, Napoleonic naval. And look at those, they're 50p plus 5p postage and packing. How times change, eh? So the reason I remembered these rules was unboxing a lot of old figures. I found about 30 or 40 samurai figures. So we've got an archer there. We've got a chap with a naginata. I'm not sure what make these figures are. I seem to remember Dixon's making samurai figures, but I'm not sure if these are Dixon's or not. Perhaps someone out there can let me know. There's these sort of peasants armed with machetes or something. They look a little bit more like minifigs to me, but I'm not sure. But anyway, so I've got all these figures, which I'm probably going to repaint because they were done quite quickly from the looks of them. So I'm going to get all those together and repaint. But I have bought some new figures as well. So let's take a look at them. So if you're starting a new era or genre or setting or restarting, it's always a good opportunity to buy some new figures, right? Because we can't have too many figures. So I've got my metal figures there. I thought it'd be nice to bulk those up, get some new ones as well. And nowadays, of course, plastic figures are much higher quality and much more available and a bit cheaper as well. So I looked around, and on eBay I found someone selling these figures, which are from a company called Kyoshuneko. And what they seem to do is sell plans for 3D printers. So presumably you buy the plans or whatever they're called, and then you can print them out on your own printer. And this enterprising chap is doing that on eBay, and he's selling them at quite a good price. This was about £8 for 6 figures. The good thing is he does them in different scales as well, so you go from 15mm all the way up to 54mm. So we're just going to open these and have a look. I shall put the link to his store in the notes. And there we are, nicely packed. So we've got a bag with some bases in. And then we've got the actual figures themselves. We'll take a look at those in a second. And there's a little card. forgedterrain.co.uk. There we go. As I say, I'll put the link into his website because it was a very good, very quick service, and I always like to support independent traders where I can. So there's no assembly to be done, which is nice. I bought some plastic sci-fi figures recently, and I think I ended up having to use super glue or something to stick them together. They were very hard plastic, and they still didn't stick together very well. But these look nicely done. Right, we've got a slight issue there. It looks like that chap's sword has broken off. So I'm going to have to see if I can fit that back on somehow. That might be a bit tricky. That's a bit disappointing. So I might get in touch with him about that. But outside of that, these are very nicely detailed. Very crisp detail. And I can't remember if these are 20 or 25mm. But if we put them next to the metal figures, yeah, they're pretty much the same size, so they must be 25mm. And we've got our bases as well. So the next part of this project is going to be getting these, I was going to say cleaned up, but I don't think there's any cleanup necessary on them. They're very crisp. I don't know anything about 3D printing at all, so I suppose you don't get flash marks on 3D printing, or do you? Perhaps someone could let me know. But I'll get these sprayed up, undercoated, and then we'll get into painting and basing them. And I'm also going to look at getting some more, either from this range, or I think you can also buy boxes of good plastic figures from, is it Zvezda? I think they do boxes of 20 or 30 or so figures. So I might get some of those as well. But I'm certainly very pleased with these. Very nice poses and a good amount of detail, which of course makes painting a lot easier. And of course, one of the things with this era is it's very colourful. The samurai wore this very ornate armour, often very colourful. You have the banners and everything else. So it makes a nice change from painting. If you're doing Second World War all the time, you know, it gets you away from doing olive drab for everything. And Mark at Bedford Gladiators very kindly lent me this book, Japanese book, which has excellent pictures in it of samurai armour, original armour from the various periods. So I'll be certainly taking a look through that as a guide as well. So terrain is very important as well, of course, and something else I found online and downloaded is a set of PDFs that give you Japanese buildings from that period. So you can print them off on your printer, then you can back them onto card or whatever and construct some nice buildings. Again, that's what we're looking at with these series, is from the very start, getting the figures in, unboxing, painting, constructing, basing, working through the rules, and then ended up with some actual battle reports from the tabletop. So thanks again for joining me. As always, if you have any questions, suggestions or ideas, please let me know, and please do like, share and subscribe to the channel. See you soon.